In the last video, we have learned about CSS box model. So in this video, we will continue with our implementation of the project. So till now, we have only given the bootstrap icon over here. And in this video, we will go and add these different HTML elements. And you will see that the CSS box model that we learned in the last tutorial will be of much helpful here. Okay, so let me go to my Visual Studio Code. Okay, and after my image, I need to add basically a h1 element. Okay, so this is kind of an header. Okay, so before that, what I would like to do is that I want to apply a bootstrap class to this image. Okay, so if you go to this page and go to F12, and the developer tools will come up, and if you click this element, which is basically an element selector, if you go over this image, you see that there is an image that is selected and there is a orange color box or orange color rectangular box that is below that. That basically suggests that this particular element has a margin bottom applied. Okay, so if you select this and if you come over to style section, you see that there is a margin bottom applied. Okay, so margins are identified by orange color and paddings are identified by green color. Okay, so let me show you one more example over here. If you see this particular element, let me go over that again. So if you see this particular element, the center section is blue, so that is the real content. Okay, and there is some what do we say, green color section surrounding the blue section, and the green section is nothing but your padding. Okay, if you see here, if you come over here, you see it has a padding of 10 pixel. Okay, so that is the padding that you are seeing here. So it has a padding of 10 pixel and it has no margin, and if you see here, there is no margin over here. In fact, margin bottom is in fact -1. Okay, so that's how you identify a margin and padding. Okay, so what I'm telling is that this particular image has a margin applied, so we will go and apply the same margin over here, but rather than using CSS to apply the margin, what we will do is we will use a bootstrap class to apply the margin. Okay, so to use the bootstrap class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say class is nothing but mb-4. Okay, so what is m signifies that it is a margin and b signifies that it is below. So if you want to apply padding above, you need to say pa. Okay, so that is very intuitive. M is for first letter is always either margin or padding, so m or p, and the second letter is always below or above or left or right. Okay, and this 4 is a numeric which basically indicates some magnitude of your which basically identifies some magnitude. Okay, so if I say mb6, the of course margin will be much more than mb4. Okay, so let me save this and let me go over this page and let me go to F12, and within F12 you click this element selector and go over this. You see that there is mb4 that is applied, and if you see here, it has basically translated the bootstrap class. The browser has basically parsed the bootstrap class using with the help of your bootstrap.main.css, and it has translated mb4 into margin bottom 1.5 rem. Okay, so rem is nothing but it's a kind of a relative measure to your parent. Okay, so if you, for example, the way this rem works is that, let me take a moment to explain that. So for example, suppose here you have a root level element. Okay, so here you have a root level element. Okay, and this root level element, for example, suppose it has 20 pixels, and here you may have another child element, and this child element, if it has 30 pixels, okay, this 30 pixels can also be represented as rem, so this can be represented as 1.5 rem. Okay, so rem is basically a relation to your parent. Okay, so how parent is, so basically it's saying that the child is 1.5 times the size of the parent. Okay, so that's how rem works. Okay, so basically we have added a margin over here, and what we will do next is that we will go here and add or we need to add the h1 over here. If you see, if you hover over this, you get a tooltip which basically says what are the classes that are applied. So it has h1, h3, mp3, font weight, normal, and so on. Okay, so we will do the same thing now. Okay, so let me go to my Visual Studio Code, and within the Visual Studio Code, what I will do is I will come out of this particular or I will come out of this particular div. Okay, so this is the first div, and probably within the next one I will add that h1. Okay, so this is another div, and this is another part of your form, so I'm gonna decorate it with a, or rather I'm gonna give the class form group. Okay, and within the form group basically I need to add an h1 element. Okay, so h1, h2, and h3 are the three different heading elements in html. So h1, your heading will be really big, h2 your heading will be slightly small, and h3 your heading will be even smaller. Okay, so h1, and the heading will be please sign in. Okay, and I'm gonna apply certain classes to my h1 as well. So the first class that I'm gonna apply is font weight is normal. Okay, let's see what is the output without applying anything. Okay, and then we will change according to what is given here. So let me refresh that, and you get that please sign in. Okay, but if you see this, okay, if you inspect that, you basically get font size is fine, and you get font weight 500. Okay, so font weight is really high. So what we will do is, if you compare with this, it's not that really high. If you compare with this, you see that the font weight is just 400. Okay, so to make it as 400, what I will do is I will go to my Visual Studio Code and just add class is nothing but font weight normal, and I will save this, and let me reload that page. You get a font weight which is normal, which is 400. Okay, and note that only for this first bootstrap project I will be going in detail of each and every element, but for the next projects I will be hurrying it up. So make sure you really understand what we are doing and why we are doing what. Okay, so once this is done, what I'm gonna do is, if you see, this is really big, okay, compared to this, so I'm gonna make it h3. Okay, but you can either go and make an h3 over here. Okay, so that will also solve the purpose. So if you make an h3 over here and reload that, you see the um, heading size has decreased, and which is similar to what we wanted. But we also want to tell our Google search engine and other search engines that this is the main heading. Okay, so to tell that this is the main heading, and to have the size of that font lesser, what we can do is we can apply another bootstrap class called h3. Okay, so this is basically applying h3 class, h3 bootstrap class to that particular element, but the element underlying is h1 only. Okay, so let me save that, and let me go over here, and you see the output is similar to what we wanted. Okay, so once that is done, I'm gonna apply another margin over here. Okay, so I will say margin as mp3. Okay, and again mp3 margin will be lesser in thickness compared to mp4, and these are the only three classes that I would like to add. Okay, so you just refresh that and you go and check it out. You see there is a margin of 3. Okay, you see there is a margin, there is no padding. If there is a padding, you would have got green color. Okay, so that's all I have for this video, and in the next part we will add these two boxes. Thank you.